What's going on, guys? This is Luke from Sober from Despair, and I'm making this video to give a brief explanation as to what Sober from Despair is, what our mission statement is, and how we are going to accomplish this mission. First off, I'm an addict and I'm in recovery. I'm addicted to opiates. Methadone is my drug of choice. I love benzodiazepines, weed, alcohol, prescription narcotics, hallucinogens. It's pretty much an equal opportunity drug addict. And I never discriminated against what substance I would or would not put in my system. That being said, recovery was something that was hard for me to get. Now that I have recovery is something that's hard for me to maintain at times. My first attempt at recovery, I was 20 years old. I went to an outpatient treatment facility in Colorado Springs called Insight Services. I was at Insight Services for about 6 months before I decided to relapse and I dropped out of treatment. After I dropped out of treatment, I continued using for 9 months until my family intervened on me, and on May 13, 2011, I entered an inpatient treatment in Denver at a place called Cedar. I was at Cedar for 28 days before completing their program. After I completed the program, I moved back to Colorado Springs to continue aftercare at a new outpatient treatment at Elaine Hubler's office. I was at Elaine's for over 2 years before completing the program. And about a year into my stay at that treatment, I decided to drop out of college. I was going to school for anthropology and Spanish, and I dropped out of school to start my own business, which is Sober from Despair. So what's the mission for Sober from Despair? Our mission statement is quite simple. We want to help anybody affected by addiction in any way that we can. How are we going to accomplish this? Currently, we have SoberFromDespair.com. And SoberFromDespair.com is currently broken down into 2 parts. We have the blogs and we have the forums. In the forums, we're trying to create a community. Basically, we want to hear your story and your input. If you are a friend or a family member of an addict that's in recovery or an addict that's actively using, we want to hear your story. If you yourself are an addict that's in recovery, we want to hear your story and we want to hear your input. If you yourself are an addict that's currently using, we still want to hear your story and your input. With the community online in the forums, we're trying to create a place that has open discussion and crosstalk. One thing that I've noticed to be a disservice is I go to a lot of anonymous AA, NA type meetings, and in these meetings there is no crosstalk. Well, I also go to a lot of group therapy sessions, and in the group therapy sessions, crosstalk is highly encouraged. And the difference I noticed between the two is in the group therapy, we're allowed to call each other on each other's bullshit. We're also allowed to ask questions to one another, and we're allowed to take more care for somebody. We're allowed to invest ourselves more in somebody else because we ask questions to that other person gets to share it back with us. We get to learn a lot more from one another, and we get to see how recovery affects our lives and how our everyday lives affects our recovery through this crosstalk. So we highly encourage crosstalk in Sober from Despair in the forums. Also in the forums, Sober from Despair as a company is going to be looking for answers for how we can further our goal of helping anybody affected by addiction in any way that we can. As a company, Sober from Despair doesn't have the solutions to addiction. However, as a community comprised with you and everybody else online in our forums, we have the solutions and we could find the answers. Outside of the forums, we have the blogs. Currently right now, I'm the only person that's actively blogging. We did have Alex blogging for a while. Unfortunately, he's no longer blogging with us. However, the point of the blogs is to bring recovery to the limelight. My personal mission in life, my mission statement, is I want to bring recovery to the limelight. Every day we hear about the Charlie Sheens, the Lindsay Lohans. We hear about the Brittany Murphys, the Whitney Houstons. We hear about all these problems of addiction that impact our society every day, but we rarely hear about the recovery. And it seems like when we do hear about recovery, we hear about somebody that's 5, 10, 15, and 20 years into their growth or recovery. We don't hear about the steps they had to take to get those years. So on my blog, I'm really young in recovery and I talk about what I'm going through. Don't read too much into what I say, because sometimes I may say something really profound, but a lot of times I talk about stuff that's crazy. I might seem crazy, and that's because my life can be crazy. And so I'm just processing it with my writing. It's my journal. And so now I get to look back at all the different parts of my recovery and different parts of my life and compare and contrast how I was doing to how I'm doing now. If I have a relapse of thinking, I get to look back and see how much better I was doing when I was thinking a different way. So that's the point of the blogs. I also have videos that I post on my blogs, and a lot of the videos are there for different reasons. Some of them are for education. I'll talk about like the dangers of marijuana, for example, or how to securely lock up your medication from somebody else getting into it. I've talked about that in video blogs. But then I also talk about stuff that's really personal to me and what I'm going through, much like I would in my writing. So the blogs, that's what the video blogs are about. And the video blogs I also shoot all around different parts of Colorado. So it's not just a bathroom backdrop on the screen. There's like a lot of cool stuff. One of them I even shot on top of Pikes Peak. We also are going to have blogs from other people in the future. If you are somebody that really wants to have a blog on Sober from Despair, that is something that is possible. Obviously, you're going to have to be active in the forums. We're going to have to see some content from you, and you're going to have to meet certain criteria. But if you meet those, we could develop a page for you so that you can do the same thing with your recovery, and you could keep a journal and strip away some of the anonymity and make recovery something that's brought to the limelight. Again, recovery is something that is not synonymous with every person. Every person has their own path. And through these blogs, we can show the world how different each path is for each individual in recovery. So basically, that's what Sober from Despair is in a nutshell. We're a company that's seeking to help anybody affected by addiction in any way that we can. And that's how we're using SoberFromDespair.com as kind of a faucet for new ideas on how we can help make that happen. I want to thank you for coming on Sober from Despair. I want to thank you for watching this. I look forward to hearing your story, and I look forward to hearing more from you. Again, my name is Luke. You have a great day.